Christmas present for my daughter. A real tam o'shanter. Blue. I think it looks quite good. Here's a wee poem for you. Weekend words. It's called Ackroyd's Funeral. It was as dark as a coal hole picnic on the day Grandad Ackroyd dropped dead. Work was as scarce as a rocking horse droppings. Not a church roof for miles had led. So cold that the flame on the candle got froze one Wednesday night. We had to warm it up in the oven before we could get it to light. Some brass monkeys outside sung carol soprano. We could hear them cursing and swearing, and they wandered around lost in the cold and the frost. They couldn't find their bearings. On Sunday our chicken for dinner was a pigeon from the next door's loft, and my dad he popped it up with a bike pump too hard, and our Saturday lunch flew off. "What would you like to eat now, Dad?" said Mum, picking her nose. "Hard-boiled eggs," our Dad says. "You can't put your fingers in those." We couldn't afford to kill the chicken, so we boiled up some water, real hot, and with bunches of dried peas tied to its knees, it paddled around in the pot. My granddad had mortgaged his pension till 1994, while my gran, in her vest, she was doing her best, with a red light above the coal house door. "I can't stand no more," the old man cried. A mad light shone in his glass eye. "We'll have to defraud the insurance man. Hands up, I want a volunteer to die." Mum said she would have, but she was far too busy. Our Albert said his library book was due back. Gran said she would, but her and her mate had got tickets for the Saturday match. So they drew straws to settle the matter. But there was never no doubt, 'cause my dad cut Grandad's in half with a bread knife, just he was pulling it out. "I'm too old to die," he said, using the cat as a club to belabour me dad. "All right, me dad," says, "you don't have to die. Just lie down and pretend that you are." So my grandad lay down on the hearth rug, and we called the doctor in. Gran took out a bottle and the glasses, and he got smashed on a dandelion gin. He said my grandad had died of a very rare disease, a bad case of tropical frostbite. Then he staggered out, and we heard a shout from the street, 'cause he'd slipped in some dog shite. Our Billy ran round for the man from the Prue. Grandad filled him up with dandelion gin. He paid £4.10 in used chip-chop yen, and said, "When are you burying him?" We weren't thinking of burying him," Grandma said. "Thinking of having him stuffed myself, or embalming him in plasticraft and keeping him on the mantel shelf." "Nay, yon is illegal," said the man from the Prue. "Grandad will have to be buried in a box and a shroud on constipated ground." At this, Grandma looked real worried. The man from the Prue said he'd come to the burying and see that things were done right. Then he staggered off out, and we all heard a shout from the street, 'cause he slipped in that stuff I've told you about. So the pretend corpse now had to be buried. Me dad got an old kipper crate. When the holes were all plugged up, and the wood that looked real good, with the plastic black brass handles on it, looked great. We'll only bury you till he's gone. And we'll dig you up honest, Dad said. It took a bottle of gin before Grandad gave in, and he laid in the box and played dead. Me Gran looked down at the box, saying, "What a lovely corpse." Tears fell on her dripping in toast. When the body at rest shoved a hand up her vest, saying, "How's that then for a ghost?" So we put the box in Big Mabel's coal cart, and off to the cemetery we went. We followed on bikes, and all seemed quite right until another burying we met. A policeman stood on point duty, 'cause there's a fault in the traffic lights. But he fell on the ground with his arms flailing round, 'cause he stepped on the road on another load of that stuff that I've told you about before. As he spun on the ground, the traffic flew round, and 2 buryings got in a jam, and the driver took a poke at me dad with a wrench and got kicked in the shoemakers off me mum. When we got sorted out, we'd got the wrong box. Grandma said, we won't see no more of him." When the driver came round, our burying, we found, had gone to the crematorium. By the time we got there, the service was done. We could hear the organ play as the congregation wept, hankies and sniffed, and our kipper box was sent on its way. The shutters were open. We heard the flames, and suddenly Grandad gave a yell, and a coffin with legs and its arse end on fire ran out of the conveyor belt. Over the pews and out the window the burning kipper box ran, and we all cheered the crate as it swam through the lake, chased by me dad and me mum. "A blessed miracle," said Ran, but the man from the Prue went quite white. "Ruined," he roared. He could have said more, but he slipped on the road on some of that stuff I've told you about.